The next day, I usually wake up in some strange place with a kid with an accent playing with my feet.
These are the 10 funniest guests who ever graced Johnny Carson's couch during his 3-decade run hosting The Tonight Show from 1962 to 1992. While Carson hosted thousands of movie stars and politicians over those years, certain comedians and performers had an uncanny ability to crack up both Johnny and his audience every single time they appeared. Number 10, Eddie Murphy. 21 years old and already unstoppable, Eddie Murphy landed on The Tonight Show 3 times in 1982, appearing on January 1st, February 10th, and July 30th, right as his career was exploding through Saturday Night Live and his breakout film 48 Hours. His rocket to superstardom was just beginning, and Carson's couch became one of the launch pads. Murphy's edgy stand-up shined through even on network television. That February 10th performance became the stuff of legend when he delivered what observers called a risky routine that had the crowd completely enthralled. Carson seemed genuinely impressed by the sheer confidence and charisma radiating from this young performer, welcoming him with the kind of warmth he reserved for natural talents.
Why not take the risk? Everybody's afraid to run, though, because they know that even though it's 1982, it's still a risky business to be the first black president. You know, you have to give speeches like this. My fellow Americans, as the president up here, we the people must get together and join hands. You watch these people over there? I don't think they're too happy about this.
Comedy Central would eventually rank Murphy number 10 on their list of the 100 greatest stand-ups. July 30th, 1982 marked his final Tonight Show appearance with Carson, coming shortly before he left SNL to conquer Hollywood. Today, Murphy remains a living film icon, but those early Carson appearances captured something raw and electric. A young comic making the seasoned host laugh with pure, undeniable talent. Number 9. Bert Reynolds action star. Bert Reynolds seems like an unlikely comedy guest until you realize he made approximately 61 appearances on The Tonight Show, and every single one turned into comedic gold. Reynolds and Carson shared such natural chemistry that their segments became the stuff of late-night legend, full of chaos and genuine fun that you simply couldn't script. The most famous bit shows Reynolds casually dousing Carson's lap with whipped cream during what started as a normal interview. Both men erupted into laughter that infected the entire studio, and the audience ate it up. One Tonight Show released later joked about it perfectly, asking who else could spray whipped cream down Johnny's pants. Reynolds showed up ready for elaborate sketches and pranks, and Carson loved playing the straight man to Bert's roguish charm. Footage from 1974 captures Reynolds goofing around during a cover shoot, showing just how comfortable they were together. Reynolds later put it simply when he called Johnny the funniest guy I know. March 12, 1992 brought Reynolds back for his final Tonight Show appearance, just weeks before Carson retired. Reynolds passed in 2018, but fans still treasure these Tonight Show bits as some of the best examples of his charismatic charm. Number 8, Jay Leno. March 12, 1977 marked Jay Leno's first appearance on Carson's Tonight Show, and he connected with the audience immediately. Carson's site notes that Leno was a hit with Johnny and the Tonight Show audience from the beginning, and that chemistry never faded. His streetwise observational humor and that signature lopsided grin kept Carson laughing consistently through the years.
Called the weather today.
Have you looked outside?
You reading about the weather back east? What's been happening in Buffalo and Pittsburgh? It's the same man who talks to the television at home.
Look out, Kojak! Thanks, viewer!
Starting in 1987, Leno became Carson's go-to substitute whenever Johnny took vacations. By the early 90s, everyone at NBC knew he was the heir apparent. After a very public succession battle with David Letterman that played out in the press and on television, NBC finally named Leno the new Tonight Show host, starting in May 1992.
And Jay made his first appearance on The Tonight Show about 10 years ago. And starting next week, Jay is going to take over here as a regular guest host on Monday nights. And throughout the summer, he's going to do a number of weeks as a regular guest host, splitting it up with Jerry Seinfeld. So I'm delighted about that.
Carson and Leno shared one final Tonight Show together on May 15th, 1992, where they joked about Leno's early career and the journey that brought him to that chair. Clint Eastwood joined them that night, underscoring just how much star power Leno carried as he prepared to take over the franchise.
Get stuck between the screaming baby with diarrhea and the octogenarian with halitosis. You know, we look like the 3 ages of man winging through time.
Or a mutual fund salesman from Texas.
22 million viewers tuned in for Leno's first show as host on May 25th, 1992. He would go on to host The Tonight Show until 2009, return briefly during a tumultuous network shuffle, then leave again in 2014. Today, he's retired from nightly hosting, but still tours as a stand-up comedian, doing what he's always done best. Number 7. David Letterman. November 24th, 1978, brought David Letterman to The Tonight Show for the first time, and Carson immediately recognized something special in the young comic. Over the next several years, Letterman returned multiple times, showcasing his sardonic behind-the-scenes humor that felt completely different from Carson's gentler approach.
Do you really?
Yeah, top physical condition of my life. And psychologically, I have peace of mind. Before the show, I got to a payphone. I called my house in Connecticut. There was no answer, and I think that's always a good sign. That's always a good sign.
Letterman's deadpan bits and zany comedy impressed Carson enough that Johnny quietly thought of him as the heir apparent. May 15th, 1992, rolled around during Carson's final weeks, and Johnny brought back Letterman alongside Clint Eastwood and Bob Hope, a clear signal of respect and affection.
Let me give you a little piece of advice. You keep using language like that, and you're going to find yourself out of a job.
Behind the scenes, their relationship stayed friendly but carried a hint of competition. Letterman had been on staff writing monologues and made no secret of wanting to eventually host. When NBC chose Leno over him as Carson's successor, Letterman joked he was still not over it. And honestly, he probably wasn't.
Just how pissed off are you?
Late Night became Letterman's home from 1982 to 1993. Then The Late Show carried him from 1993 to 2015. He retired in 2015 and now lives quietly in Montana, but his Tonight Show appearances showcase the wit that would go on to define late-night television for an entire generation. Number 6. Jerry Seinfeld. May 6, 1981 changed everything for a 26-year-old Jerry Seinfeld when he made his Tonight Show debut, and the appearance marked a genuine turning point in his career. Carson was so impressed that he asked Seinfeld to come back soon after, and the Carson site notes that Seinfeld's career took off after he made a successful appearance that night.
That's funny stuff.
Thank you.
That's very funny
I
stuff.
feel funny tonight.
Yeah, what? You do you? You have those days where you don't feel funny?
Yeah.
You get out and nothing's cooking?
And then somehow you get out there and the audience makes you feel silly for some reason.
Yeah.
They laugh and you go, yeah, that is funny.
Yeah.
2 years later, Jerry had his own sitcom on NBC. Seinfeld later admitted that Carson's approval, expressed through a simple, "Will you have me back on?" gave him a huge confidence boost when he needed it most. What makes this even more remarkable is that all of Jerry's featured Tonight Show appearances happened before his sitcom had even aired, proving Carson gave him an early big break based purely on raw talent. Seinfeld's observational humor ran low-key but devastatingly smart. Carson loved the clever wordplay and appreciated that Jerry didn't need profanity to get laughs. Jerry returned to Carson at least a half dozen times throughout the 80s, always delivering as that reliable presence who could make an audience think while they laughed. By 1989, Seinfeld had become NBC's top sitcom. Today, Jerry remains active in comedy with Netflix specials and projects, but he's never forgotten that Carson helped launch everything by giving a young nobody from New York a shot on national television. Number 5. Robin Williams. Robin Williams started showing up on Carson in 1981, right as his Mork and Mindy fame was reaching its peak. 9 hilarious visits followed through Carson's final year, and the Carson site emphasizes Williams' trademark manic energy and stream of consciousness lunacy, calling each appearance comedy magic. Williams' breakneck wit left Carson howling with laughter on multiple occasions. One 1986 appearance became legendary when Williams mimicked multiple characters and went completely off script at top speed, improvising at a pace that seemed superhuman. Carson famously lost it several times during the segment, barely able to contain himself. Johnny once noted that Williams was like a whirlwind on the stage, and that description didn't even come close to capturing the full experience.
And they read the name and they go, and the winner for Best Actor is someone other than you. And you sit there and they keep the camera on you and you're supposed to go like, I'm so happy. Wouldn't it be nice? You could be really truthful and go,
But just to be among your peers is honor enough, sure.
It is. Hey, you don't even have a green card. Give it to me.
May 21, 1992, brought Williams back for Carson's penultimate Tonight Show, sharing the stage with Bette Midler. That episode became the stuff of television legend. Carson introduced Williams as a dear friend, and Williams unleashed quick jokes that combined perfectly with Midler's songs to send the audience into a frenzy. Midler even won an Emmy for that night's performance, capping off an unforgettable evening.
Hi there, you have got to chill. Yeah. This is real death. Hold it right. Whoa, what it is, what it was. Yeah. Oh, man, you dumb. Man, God, the guy he's like one taco short of a combination plate, you know?
Williams' explosive, comedic style created the perfect contrast to Carson's measured humor, producing electrifying television every single time. He passed in 2014, but his Carson clips remain comedy gold that fans continue sharing and rediscovering today. Number 4. Steve Martin. Steve Martin earned his place as one of Carson's favorites from the very early days. Johnny's site notes Martin appeared often starting in 1972 and continuing until the show ended in 1992. Covering his entire evolution from stand-up comedian to movie star, and Carson watched it all happen from the best seat in the house. Martin mixed absurdist stand-up with physical gags that kept Carson constantly laughing. Balloon animals, banjo tunes, and perfectly timed pratfalls flowed through his character sketches and deadpan delivery. During the height of his wild and crazy guy routine, Martin's Tonight Show spots became appointment television that audiences eagerly anticipated. May 6, 1992 arrived just weeks before Carson's retirement, and Steve Martin showed up to perform the Great Fly Magic Routine, a famous bit where he does stunts through his own fly. Martin couldn't refuse the offer, and the performance became one of the show's most memorable final moments, the kind of thing people still talk about decades later. The Tonight Show series called Martin more than just a wild and crazy guy, also a favorite guest of Johnny Carson, and their chemistry proved it. Carson often encouraged Martin to try something surprising, and their warm, playful dynamic made every appearance feel special. Martin later transitioned into films like The Jerk and Father of the Bride, then became a respected novelist and musician. He remains a beloved comedian today, though those Carson years captured him at his most fearless and inventive. Number 3. George Carlin. George Carlin holds a record that will probably never be broken. 105 appearances on The Tonight Show between 1967 and 1992, making him one of Carson's most frequent guests by a staggering margin. He usually performed stand-up routines and doubled as a reliable guest host when Carson took vacations, stepping into Johnny's shoes with an ease that few others could manage. Comedy Central ranked Carlin number 2 on its list of all-time great stand-ups, and those Tonight Show appearances built much of that reputation. Carlin's comedy started out fairly mainstream, but by the 70s, he transformed into the voice of counterculture comedy, most famously with 7 words you can't say on TV.
And in August, people would say, Bloom, it's hot. One tiny thing. I'm just about out of words now for the moment. I have only 7 left. You know them. I can't say them, but you all know what they are, and at home you can think.
On Carson's show, he mostly delivered clean stand-up, though he occasionally tested boundaries just to see how far he could push. Carson admired Carlin's sharp wit and often laughed at even his more daring jokes, giving him room to be himself. May 20, 1981 produced one of the show's most memorable nights when Carson announced he had 2 of the best comedians in the entire business as guests, George Carlin and Richard Pryor. Carlin held his own alongside Pryor's legendary wit, and watching them play off each other created television magic. The penultimate week arrived on May 13, 1992, and Carson brought back Carlin for his 105th and final Tonight Show appearance, a milestone Carson acknowledged on air with genuine emotion. Carson called Carlin one of my favorite guys in later interviews, appreciating both his intelligence and his craft.
To be here, this is the first time doing the show without any pressure at all of hoping they'll invite me back. Diced Loon. Also, you might be interested, Johnny, a wonderful new restaurant in the valley, Top of the Schmuck. Have you been there yet? Yes, well, it's a big 15-story statue of a schmuck, and the restaurant is in the Hat Band. You might want to drop in. Really good place.
Carlin kept performing until he passed in 2008. His battles over censorship and language made him a legendary figure who helped push stand-up comedy into territory it had never explored before, and Carson gave him the platform to do it. Number 2, Rodney Dangerfield. April 1969 nearly ended before it began when Rodney Dangerfield sent Carson a letter accusing a Tonight Show writer of joke stealing. The two made amends, though, and Dangerfield's first appearance on April 14, 1969, turned into a massive hit. He crushed it, winning over both Carson and the audience, transforming himself into an instant regular. Dangerfield quickly became one of Johnny's favorite comedians, and the feeling was clearly mutual.
I drink, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The next day, I end up, I usually wake up in some strange place with a kid with an accent playing with my feet.
His self-deprecating, no-respect routine worked like magic every single time, with Dangerfield limping onto stage and deadpanning about his endless misfortunes while Carson struggled to keep it together. By 1980, Dangerfield had reached his absolute peak with the film Caddyshack and his Grammy-winning comedy album, No Respect. The Tonight Show noted that at this point in his career, Rodney's stand-up had become outrageous, and he was constantly making Carson laugh until tears ran down his face.
What do you mean you don't get any respect? Now, what do you call that?
The only place over here,
Right
Johnny,
here?
the only place right here I get some respect. They're very nice here.
One show from 1979 captured Carson joking that Dangerfield deserves some respect, as Dangerfield's routine literally had everyone jumping to their feet. Carson loved this high-energy stand-up more than almost anything else on his show. He later admitted that no one else could make him laugh quite like Rodney, which is saying something coming from a man who hosted the funniest people in America for 30 years. Dangerfield kept appearing from 1969 through the 80s, becoming a Tonight Show institution. He passed in 2004, but his trademark one-liners, especially "I don't get no respect," and his wild anecdotes created classic Tonight Show comedy that people still quote and reference today. Number 1. Don Rickles. Don Rickles earned his place as one of Carson's all-time favorite guests through sheer, fearless audacity. Johnny's official site calls Rickles Mr. Warmth, noting Carson loved to let him do his thing, which is a polite way of saying Carson gave Rickles complete freedom to insult everyone in sight. Rickles appeared dozens of times on The Tonight Show, unleashing rapid-fire insults that left Carson and the audience howling with laughter and occasionally gasping in disbelief.
Say, why? I slid. Oh, funniest monologue I've ever heard. I've heard you many, many years. Tonight was the funniest, so enjoy it.
Pure insult comedy defined Rickles' act, and he summed it up perfectly when he joked, "I'm always afraid that somewhere out there is one person in the audience that I'm not going to offend." Carson understood the bit was an act, once commenting that Rickles has nothing against the people he insults. It's all just part of the act. But that didn't make it any less hilarious to watch.
Hey, you're not gonna have to hang this. No, this is now your night. You take.
Carson's cigarette box. Oh, I broke his box. I broke Carson's cigarette box.
February 1968, during the Los Angeles shows, produced the most memorable bit of their entire relationship. Carson had donned a Speedo for a Japanese massage gag when Rickles suddenly burst in completely unannounced. The impromptu chaos had Carson and the entire crew in stitches, barely able to function. One retrospective describes how Rickles crashed the scene, creating pure late-night chaos and comic perfection. Carson even managed to get the last laugh by toppling Rickles in a staged tussle that perfectly captured their dynamic.
Could I get a couple of minutes? No. Give me a break. I'm so lonely.
1976 brought another famous bit when Carson playfully stormed out of his studio to confront Rickles next door for breaking his cigarette box. The spontaneous energy of their interactions created television that felt dangerous and unpredictable, which is exactly what made it so compelling.
Uh-oh.
What the hell happened to this?
Well, as long as you've seen what happened.
You know how long I've had the cigarette box on his desk?
You brought that up from New York City?
I brought this from New York. What on earth?
It happened last night.
Who?
Don Rickles.
I did not see the
Don
show
Rickles
last
did it last night.
Carson admired Rickles' courage and bold style, respecting someone willing to say anything to anyone. Their on-air chemistry crackled with energy that you couldn't manufacture or fake. Fans called Rickles the best guest in talk show history, and watching their segments makes it impossible to argue with that assessment.
I just started the show. I picked my box up off my desk that I've had for 9 years. My box is broken. They told me you broke it on the show last night. Well, I really... You big dummy!
From Don Rickles' fearless insults to Robin Williams' manic energy, from Rodney Dangerfield's self-deprecation to George Carlin's sharp wit, these 10 guests represent the absolute best of what made The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson appointment television for 3 decades straight. Carson possessed a rare gift for bringing out the best in comedians. He knew exactly when to set up a joke, when to laugh, and when to simply step back and let his guests shine. These moments transcended simple entertainment and became career-defining appearances that launched sitcoms, cemented legacies, and created comedy history that still influences performers today. May 22, 1992 brought The Tonight Show to its end with over 50 million viewers watching Carson's farewell. Johnny moved on, but the laughter from these incredible guests lives on in clips, DVDs, and the memories of everyone who stayed up late to watch Johnny and the funniest people in show business create magic together night after night.